The Honorable Chair.
Honorable.
May I request us to switch off their mics, please? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable Chair, Cabinet colleagues and Deputy Ministers present, honorable members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the entire basic education sector, we wish to thank the National Assembly for inviting us to table our 2021 budget on basic education, vote 16. Chair, honorable members, as much as the basic education sector, working with its partners from teacher unions, national governing body associations, civil society, and public and private sector to save the academic year of 2020. But COVID-19 pandemic had a very devastating impact on our sector. The analysis we made, for instance, in PESA shows that between last year and up to February 2021, we lost about 1,678 educators. We unfortunately, the sector lost the MEC for Education, the Northern Cape. We lost the Superintendent General of Education, the Eastern Cape. We lost the President of NATU, and they all succumbed to COVID-19. We continue to say, may their souls rest in peace. Chair, we also lost lots of teaching and learning time, and also as critical part of what is now an unforeseen new normal, where adjustments and prioritizations of the state's prioritized programs and budgets. Consequently, DBE and its statutory bodies endured budget cuts like all other departments and their statutory bodies. Therefore, Chair, the adjustment that were effected to the 2020 MTF budget allocations, which changed the baseline allocations for the ensuing MTEF period, have a direct bearing on this budget allocation we're presenting today. We, however, wish to thank National Treasury for also assisting us in cushioning the sector and some of its key programs. First, Chair, let me indicate the overall 2021 education budget, the MTF budget allocation is 27 billion rands, which is an increase of 15.5%, mind you, from the 2021 revised overall baseline budget allocation. Secondly, the overall allocation for conditional grants is 20.7 billion, which is an increment of 20.2% from the revised baseline. Speaker, we wish to acknowledge the allocation of 16.2 million as part of the general budget support for DBE's systemic improvement of language and numeracy in foundation phase, as well as 19.9 million for technology for grades 7 to 9. And these two new allocations will go a long way in ensuring the rollout of these two key strategic programs. And thirdly, the overall allocation for earmarked funding is 3.7 billion, which is an increase of 5.7 billion from last year's revised baseline. And fourthly, transfer payments are allocated 1.6 billion, which is an increment of 1.4 billion from last year's revised baseline. And fourthly, during the presentation of the medium-term budget policy statement in October 2020, the Minister of Finance did announce that the basic education sector was being allocated 7 billion to implement the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative, which we branded as the Basic Education Employment Initiative. 7 billion was equitably distributed as follows. National retained 1.2 billion for project management, support and monitoring oversight. Just less than 6.9 billion was equitably distributed throughout the provinces. Additionally to some of the equitable shares, the payment of stipends for UIF, saving of SGB appointed posts in state-funded and state-funded private schools, and management at provincial level and the training of the youth in the program. 2.4 billion of this allocation was earmarked to secure SGB appointed educators posts in fee-paying schools and educators posts in state-subsidized independent schools. These posts were under serious threat as schools were experiencing financial distress as a result of the parents being unable to pay school fees because of the economic devastation brought about by COVID-19 pandemic. Through this initiative, Chair, we saved about 27,662 posts and which were under threat. Speaker and honorable members, it gives me great pleasure to report that through this initiative, we're able to create about 320,315 employment opportunities for young people. The strategic realignment of the basic education sector priorities for the sixth administration. Honorable members, we must remind ourselves that in the nation about the 6 basic education sector priorities that we had committed ourselves to in order to lay a solid foundation for quality and efficient education system, as well as to contribute in providing permanent solutions to the architecture of the education and training system of our country. We therefore wish to remind this House that our action plan for 2024 towards the realization of school in 2020 is giving expression to our sector priorities anchored, 1, on our Constitution, which declares education as an inalienable right. Number 2, the directives of the National Development Plan, which says, and I quote, that by 2030, South Africans should have access to education and training of the highest quality, leading to significantly improved learning outcomes, and the need expressed in the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, which says, and I quote, to orientate Africa's education and training systems to meet the knowledge, competencies, skills, innovations, and creativity required to nurture the African core values and promote sustainable development at the national and sub-regional levels. And reflecting on the UNESCO, the SDG 4, especially SDG 4, which calls for, I quote, an inclusive, quality, and equitable education and lifelong opportunities for all. Therefore, the Constitution, the NDP, our continental and international conventions do provide us with a moral imperative and a mandate to government to make the social justice principles of access, redress, equity, efficiency, inclusivity, and quality and educational opportunities widely available to all citizens. Chair and honorable members, I want to reflect on a few of the points that we have identified as the sector, and the other points we have agreed with DM to raise them. The first one I want to look at is early childhood development. As you agree, you know, we had agreed on the relocation of early childhood development from the Department of Social Development to the Department of Basic Education. And this included strategically ramping up the provision of ECD, particularly the urgent implementation of the 2 years of ECD before grade 1 and the provision of quality ECD programs for 0 to 4-year-olds. We must consider that complexities of ECD space, though not overwhelming, needed more time to substantially address. We had to contend with the legal and policy realities, organizationally and structural arrangements, budgets, employment imperative, provisioning and programmatic challenges, and many, many more. I'm happy to report that with my colleague, the 2 ministries have managed to crack the codes and on many fronts in the ECD space. For instance, the systemic process for the relocation of ECD from DSD to DBE is at an advanced stage. The Office of the Chief State Law Advisors have granted us with the Socio-Economic Impact Assessment System Certificate for the proclamation to regularize the ECD relocation to the national levels, which will be signed by the presidents. And in return, the certificates have also been awarded to regularize ECD function shifts at the provincial level, which will be signed by the different premiers. It is anticipated that the ECD relocation from DSD to DBE will be effected from the 1st of April 2022. 8 work streams have been established and are very busy at work. Amongst others, they are focused on legal matters, human resource development and management, on finance, on infrastructure, monitoring and evaluation, governance, curriculum and services, communication, as well as health and nutrition. And they are in the progress of finalizing their work. And the submission, the work streams will submit their report is expected that by June 2021. DB has further developed a vision for ECD relocation and delivery, amongst others. This vision acknowledges that the long history of unequal provision of ECD in South Africa and recognizes the journey to achieve the objectives of universal access to quality ECD programs in the next 10 years. There are 5 strategic areas that have been identified for improving the quality of ECD in South Africa, which will supplement the reports from the 8 work streams. Finally, to cater for the 2 years of ECD prior to grade 1 section on compulsory attendance of the South African Schoolings Act is in the process of being amended through the Basic Education Amendments Bill, which as soon as it's signed by the President, attendance of grade R classes by children who are or will be turning 16 years of age will be compulsory. Systematically, this will be followed by introduction of compulsory attendance of grade RR classes by children who will be turning 5 years of age. The second sector priority, Chair and honorable members, is that of strategic implementation of a curriculum with skills and competencies of a challenging world in all our public schools. Last year, Chair, I reported that we are preparing the sector for the piloting of the coding and robotics curriculum from grade R to 7. Today, I wish to report that the draft CAPS document for grades R to 9 they have been submitted to Malusi for appraisal and quality assurance. On the 19th of March of 2020, we gazetted the draft coding and robotics curriculum for public comment. In preparation for training of officials, we've appointed a service provider thanks to the support and help of EDTP SETA, and the service agreement has been concluded. We wish to thank the SETA for making available resources for this endeavor. We are happy to announce also that Sasol Foundation did fund the orientation of coding and robotics for the National Training Team, which was held from the 8th to the 19th of March. A state-of-the-art digital platform has been developed for training of teachers, orientation of materials, lessons and plans, coding programs. They have been uploaded onto this digital program. During one of the speeches I made last year, I stressed that my department's commitment to the expansion of the program to strategically implement a curriculum with skills and competencies for a changing world in all public schools. In pursuit of this, I'm pleased to announce the introduction of a new FET level subjects, marine sciences. This is a very welcome addition to the bouquet of subjects we already offer, and it is particularly relevant to our NDP goals since the ocean economy contributes over $6 billion towards our country's gross domestic product. In March 2021, the CAPS for marine sciences was uploaded to the DBE website, and the first cohort of the 13 grade 12 learners from South Peninsula High School will be writing marine science as part of their 2021 exams. Examination guidelines have been prepared and distributed, and potential experts who can be appointed as examiners and moderators have been identified. Since the 2019 pilot, we are happy to report that the intake in the marine sciences has since increased to more than 300 grade 10s and 11s. As a high school subject offering South Africa, we can be proud that the offering of marine science is a world first, as other countries only provided marine biology and oceanography to tertiary level students. Speakers, we are also collaborating with the Department of Transport to finalize the draft aviation curriculum to ensure that the draft curriculum is aligned to the CAPS policy. The appointment of a service provider to develop practical assessment tasks for this aviation curriculum has been advertised. We are proud that the country will introduce another unique South African subject offering that includes occupational work areas within the aviation milieu. It is with pleasure to inform this House that guidelines for the establishment and management of focus schools have been produced on time in December 2020 for extensive consultation. Focus schools are being established to cater for learners with special talents and aptitudes across a wide range of scholastic endeavors. These schools will constitute a legislative distinct category of public schools that offer a specialized curriculum orientated towards 11 learning fields. Some of these include agriculture, marine, maritime and nautical science, maths, science and technology, as well as technical occupational disciplines such as electrical, civil and mechanical technologies. On occupational subjects, a total of 103 schools in all 9 provinces have been audited to pilot occupational subjects. The CAPS for year 1 to 4 for grades 8 to 9 has been developed and submitted to Umalusi for appraisal and quality assurance. In preparation for the pilot, materials have been developed. Speaker, in 2019, we hosted the roundtable for the mobile network operators and other information technologies players to map a plan for delivering ICT solutions for special schools. Since then, we have provided 109 special schools with ICT devices, assistive technologies, as well as appropriate software for teaching and learning. Vodacom, MTN, Liquid Telecom, Cell-C have all made great contributions towards this endeavor. Furthermore, all special schools have been provided with connectivity, though not broadcast connectivity as part of the USAO rollout. Last year, I did report to this House that the Ministerial Task Team on the Development of History for grade 4 to 12 had developed the history content framework for grade 4 to 12, including the reviewing of topics including historiography, material culture and archaeology, African history, heritage and local history, including labor history, language, gender and culture, inland history and world history. Since 2020, the Ministerial Task Team has been consulted with a reference team comprising teachers, subject advisors and specialists on pedagogy, historical skills and assessments to strengthen the history content framework. The Ministerial Task Team is currently engaged in a dedicated writing session to sequence and package the identified content to ensure alignment in terms of articulation, sequencing, progression, and conceptual development. So the next area that I want to quickly refer to is the introduction of African languages to schools which were not teaching African languages. And this was initiated in 2013. And Chair, I also want to report that all our key subjects have been piloted in 213 schools, and the idea is to take more schools through the program. The program targeted 2,500 schools that are not offering African languages. And already the group that we piloted in 2014, 2015 in these 264 schools are already in the immediate phase. Speaker, again, we strategically decided to expand the list of languages that we offer. In our list, we've added the Khoi, the Nama, and the Sama, and the San languages, as well as South African San languages into our curriculum. The Constitution does mandate us to promote and create conditions for the development and the use of all African languages. You will recall again, we had also indicated our intentions to introduce Kiswahili in our schools as a second additional language. And we will have, and we know that we'll be going a long way in promoting social cohesion and also assisting in the African continent free trade. But because of the challenges COVID-19, we've had to only focus on areas that we're ready to focus, and as such, Kiswahili was left aside, and we will pursue it further. Speaker, we are, as I said, we're supposed to pilot Kiswahili in the second phase, but plans had been thwarted because of COVID-19. As a result, the primary focus of our schools has been really on the teaching of home languages and first additional language. And the final sector that I want to refer to, Chair or Speaker, is about dealing decisively with the quality and efficiency through the implementation of standardized assessments for grade 3, 6, and 9, and the offering of the General Education Certificate. before grade 9, so that our children are not exposed to grade 9, to exams only when they go to grade 12. I can see the speaker is impatient, so let me finalize, Speaker. Finally, we have already produced the policy framework for the general education, and Umalusi is in the process of evaluating it. We will be gazetting it and inviting comments on the GEC certificate, and it will be piloted or it will be implemented quite soon, and we'll keep the House updated. Let me run again quickly to the next paragraph, Chair, before I thank people that have really assisted us. It's also that we have finalized the drafting of the National Assessment Framework, which will serve to coordinate all assessments that are conducted under GEC. So let me again move to the next page quickly. I really want to take this opportunity. I think, Chair, I will finalize what I'm saying in the last speaker. I really want to take this opportunity to thank the officials in the department, to thank the study group for all the support and the guidance, but also our MECs in provinces, which have been very helpful and instrumental in the work that we're doing. And I really want to thank you most sincerely, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, Chair.
Once you are left with 1 minute, every speaker, I will switch on my video. Once I switch it on, you must know you have 1 minute left.
No, thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you.
Okay.
We now move to ANC and invite Honorable Adonis.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me also greet the Honorable Minister, Mayor Angie Motshekga.
I think we can close this thing. Sometimes it's better when you control yourself, because I could see that I'm running out of